Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Power Up Podcast, episode number 15. I'm here joined by my co-host, Grizz. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
And yeah, we got a lot of talk about today, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Zombies Chronicles is coming out on Tuesday, and we got a ton of topics to talk about that have to do with Zombie Chronicles. So if you guys are hyped, make sure you stay tuned through the entire thing because we're going to be giving our opinions about it towards the end of this podcast. So starting it off, let's talk about some Chronicles timeline. We got that whole timeline from Jason Blundell on the poster, and now there are multiple sources online with enlarged versions. I mean, people have written it out. My team was the first one to literally type the entire thing out. There's a Chronorium website now where you can just flip through it and read the whole thing. So there's a lot of, it's all transcribed, so it's easy access and easy to read. So what do you think about, like Leroy, for example?
You made a really good video on that, I thought. You really went through it very well, and I thought it was interesting that the bones we were digging up during the Wolfbow step was actually the king, right? It was the king. That was his bones.
The Wolf King. Yeah, and it was buried by Leroy originally, which is so cool because
Insane.
On that picture where the king's dead on the fourth picture when you're upgrading the wolf bow or when you're getting the arrow, we saw someone that looked like Leroy, and people made theory videos like a year ago about that, and it turned out to be true. I think like Johnny J was one of the first people to make a video about that.
I was a hater, actually, that it was Leroy. I'm like, no, that does not look like Leroy at all. And they made him look funky, but it was him.
Yeah, I mean, he was bent over facing the opposite way. But when you look at it now and you know it's Leroy, you can kind of be like, all right, I can see why they would think that.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah, like it totally changed, like I didn't really think it was Leroy either. I mean, I was always open to the idea, but I never really like hated on it, like I thought, like if it is, like, why is he even here? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And there's still this weird mystery that's going on with this, because Leroy was teleported to Buried, and Buried as well is involved with an Easter egg paradox with Moon, which also was involved in the Dreisendrach map. So that's why I think there's going to be more on Moon. And we're going to talk more about this later on in the podcast, but it seems like the remastered maps might have Easter eggs that can be discovered still. And the storyline just seems to point at it, and it pointed at DLC 5 even being real. So I wouldn't take it off the table.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open to new Easter eggs for sure.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, though, like, the version that the YouTubers were playing, that might not be the final build.
Right.
Like, they might have specifically left new Easter eggs and stuff out on purpose.
I believe that, too. I think that's very possible, like a beta version that they were playing.
Yeah, I mean, they could have just put, like, for example, like on Kino, people were mad that the Cuda is at the bottom of the staircase, where Speed Cola is.
Well, we've talked about this before in the podcast. We saw it when we were there playing Spaceland. You couldn't go to the Pack-a-Punch machine. It said available when the full game comes out. So it blocks off portions, and I also think they hide stuff too for those YouTubers that go out there.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I would assume that they're playing like the final build or whatever, but at the same time, I feel like Treyarch's a little too sneaky maybe for that. Like, I don't think they would do that, to be honest.
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just tough to understand, and I think I think we're all going to really find out once everybody gets it, because once the community gets their hands on it, everything comes to light so much quicker. You have more minds on it, and Reddit explodes.
All the maps.
Yeah, and the Reddit whole community like posts and posts and posts insanely, and it's like one big brain on the internet.
Seriously.
It's quite cool.
If you need zombies info with the occasional shit posts, go on the
Yeah.
Reddit.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of crap posts, but there's a lot of valuable information there as well.
Yeah.
But part of the storyline as well has been updated, and we found that it was quite interesting to bring up one in particular, and that was when Kino happened in the storyline. It was 1963, and they define, I believe, the premise crew as Ultimus. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think Ultimus is just it's not the premise crew, it's the old crew.
It is the old crew.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ultimus, the original crew. Yeah, that would be the 1.0s.
Because they didn't go to Kino.
Okay. But the 1.0s did, though.
Yeah.
And so the original versions, the older guys. Yeah, it's so cool that they're all older looking, and we're going to be able to go into theater mode and actually look at them.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. But that team, the Ultimus team, they first time traveled to Kino der Toten in 1963. And that was when Monty saw that there were ripples in the timeline starting to happen and dimensional fracturing. And so he decided he wanted to step in and help Group 935 invent perk machines, and he also did things like adding chalk on the walls. And this is coming from the entire timeline that was revealed on JC's live stream. And it's interesting that this is the point in time when Monty decided to put all the stuff in the maps. We had seen it previously, but some of the things just don't line up. And you had something to bring to this as well, with part of the timeline not matching up.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple things that don't match up, in my opinion. I think they need to add more things in. One really interesting thing was I was taking a look at when Richtofen on the timeline says, "I know it must be done." It was in 1941, and that's when he learns of the blood vials the same day.
Okay.
And obtains the blood vials from the crew on Mob. So at one point he has to go back in time to give those blood vials to the Origins Richtofen. And if we look back, Richtofen had the blood vials in 1918 when Origins took place.
Right.
So whenever we see that they go back in time, the only date that talks about one of the Richtofens going back in time is in 1933, which does not match at all.
Right.
So you would think it would be like, 1917 or something like that.
Huh.
Where he goes back in time. So there's that thing. I was talking to Crash Power about this because in the trailer for Chronicles, you see Richtofen at one point, and he has blood vials, but there's like either white stuff in it or they're empty. And it could just be a texturing glitch, but it looks really weird. Like, it doesn't look correct.
And it's in the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a texturing glitch then, because it's a trailer.
Well, it could be, because they do use in-game footage for those.
Okay.
But
you might be right.
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but
wow.
Weird stuff, man. I mean, like, Jason Blundell literally said in some of the interviews that he's done with other YouTubers that the timeline was there to kind of put brackets, but it doesn't answer all the questions. It leaves a lot of stuff empty, and he's like, it gives you core information, but there's still enough information that's not included that the community can still make, theories about and whatnot.
Yeah, I like that
So,
a little bit, and then, part of it's like, can we just have the whole story in order? But they want to explore these avenues eventually down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of left us at a cliffhanger, and we got more information now after Rev took place, and now we're kind of just up in the air again, waiting for the next Treyarch game, kind of like Origins.
Yeah. But we wanted to bring up Kino specifically because a lot of people might not have known, and this is kind of an update for both of our channels. The first time that Ultimus time traveled That's when Monty saw it on Kino and decided to put perk machines and chalk outlines of the weapons on the walls. That's not necessarily true because we've seen it in maps before Kino.
Varrock.
Yep, that's a prime example.
It was even on Noct. But the thing is interesting because Kino takes place in 1963. Other maps take place before that as well. And also like Noct, for example, Varrock. I mean, that takes place in 1945.
But I think they just wanted to put it at a certain point. I don't know why they chose it to be so late in the timeline, but Monty put everything in to help Group 935 succeed on Kino. So that's what Treyarch's pushing, and that's what they want everybody to know. And so I guess that's what we're going to go off of for when Monty decided to intervene in our timeline.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to think about, man.
It is.
I love it. I can never get enough of the Treyarch storyline, dude.
So, something else that I thought was really interesting, and I was going through some of the things within the timeline, and it said that the MPD teleport to Shangri-La, when that happened, let's paint the picture first. Richtofen teleports into this encaved area on the moon. He lit a match, however he got light, not sure. He was looking around and he saw the MPD. He touched it. When he touched the MPD, it teleported him to Shangri-La.
Yeah, he got like electrocuted and he started hearing voices too. But
that was the first time, at least in the new storyline with Chronicles, they're saying he also heard the Shadowman at that exact point in time.
Yeah.
So that is so interesting.
And the interesting thing about that as well to think about is that the Apothecans, they were trying to escape because the Great War had already happened in the 1200s. And they ended up building Dreisendrach after Primus told them to.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about that is what the Apothecans did was they needed a way to escape. So they knew that the best way for them to escape was to actually send meteorites to Earth, which is why
we see it in Dairais.
No, well, that's why we see the meteorite on Tunguska in Shinonuma.
Right.
Or not Tunguska. It's a different meteorite.
Is it?
Yeah, because Tunguska's in Russia, and that's not in Russia. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think Tunguska was a real one that happened, and that was in like 1900s or so, like early 1900s. But we get another meteorite there, so it's interesting.
Nice. You know, and we're going to talk about early gameplay late in a little bit after a few more topics, but I did see one gameplay where there was the missile going across the moon starting room or outside Area 51, and you can see the nuke that's going to Nuketown fly across the map.
Yeah, you can literally see the mushroom cloud, which is so cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Treyarch knows what they're doing, man.
So it makes me think there's a little bit more. You know, the more things we keep talking about, it just seems like, I don't know, until we get our hands on it and we can all get out there in the field and check it out, I'm just going to remain excited because it's real. It's a real thing that's happening. But he heard the voices of the Shadow Man when that happened, and that is what is updated in our storyline. So I think we might see some more stuff with the Shadow Man maybe in these old maps, in the radios at least. That's what it's making me think.
Yeah, and we can also get Monty too.
We might get some Monty.
I know there was a quote, someone, I guess, that got played on, I think it was Shinonuma, where Monty says that, like, the cats are of the devil or something like that. Like, it's just a funny quote. And I think that's from one of the radios or something.
And it was Monty.
Yeah, it was Monty.
Interesting. Interesting. You want to talk about the next thing?
Yeah, so we also learned that Nikolai's wife died in World War I,
She did.
And his brother died in World War II.
Yep. And
So
but Nikolai always talks about many wives.
Yeah, but the only reason he talks about the many wives is because of his drunkenness.
Right. He does
And
drink vodka.
he used that as symbolism, making that up, like fantasies of his wife.
That makes sense.
Which is interesting. I mean, that's
because it was confusing for the longest time.
Yeah.
So so many times I was thinking, like, how many wives has this guy had going to, timeline to timeline? His 5th wife, his 6th wife. It's like, Jesus, dude, chill out for a bit, you know? Like, that's a lot of wives to keep track of throughout these timelines. I mean, the more wives he has, it's like we got to memorize that. So now it's just one wife, and we can finally narrow it down to that. So it's a really good update. I'm glad they put that in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know he had a brother that had died during World War II. I never knew that.
Yeah, there was some talk about that back when like Garad Krovi was out or coming out.
Yeah.
But it kind of just stopped there.
Really?
Yeah, it never really progressed.
Do you remember on Der Eisendrache in Samantha's room on that cabinet, there's a picture. That picture shows like a Nikolai character holding a knife, looking at Maxis with a knife. And I always thought that was interesting. There's a portal in between them. And I never knew if that was Nikolai or if that was something else. That's the only reference I have, at least, with Nikolai having a brother. Otherwise, I would have never known that.
Yeah, I don't even know, to be honest. It's crazy.
But so, one more question, and
okay.
It's a big one. Oh, it's the last question, I should say, here, Greg, that we got. And it's a big one, I would say. And I think everybody can comment down below what your thoughts are on this question, because it's one we're going to ask throughout this entire release, and it just needs to be asked. So is Chronicles a continuation of our storyline right now as Revelations came to an end, or is it just remasters of the past?
I still can't answer with 100% certainty.
Yeah,
because we kind of need to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, I'm gonna go with the assumption that they're remasters.
Okay. So let me ask you about that trailer, the story trailer. What did that mean to you?
I think it was evil Samantha playing with the toys.
Interesting.
And then she was cleansed. And then she came back into the room.
Oh wow.
Because there's talks of, or in the storyline, Monty takes her to the house, but she's still has like, she's still infected or consumed by the MPD darkness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Monty takes her away and then brings her back.
Interesting. I never thought about it like this, but it's making a lot of sense the more you explain it.
It's just weird because like
but that happened. That was written in the timeline.
Yeah, and at the end of the story, or in the end of the trailer rather, all the 1.0 characters, the Ultimus characters, notice how all the figurines are like broken?
Yeah.
Like the heads are broken off and stuff.
All in pieces. And
I think that symbolizes something.
See, I think so too. And is it the death of the 1.0 characters? The other question we got to ask is the director's cut trailer. At the very end, we see Samantha looking off into that window, and then it fades into the summoning key spinning, and all the other children are being looked at by Monty, but she's not with the rest of them. She's off walking, like she's either hearing a voice or something else is going on. It's just, what is happening? That's my question. I think it's after Revelations ends where this is going on, but you might be right. It might be within the timeline that we already know, and it was evil Samantha being cleansed to this new Samantha that we know now, where she has no powers.
Yeah.
My thought is that it's kind of going the other way, where she's becoming more conscious of her surroundings. I imagine with everything happening to her, especially her father only having a brain, like there's got to be a world of pain that she's going through, and maybe we're living that through these maps.
Well, the interesting thing about Origins is we learn that the Origins Samantha is going through to be rescued, but that's the original Samantha.
Okay.
From like Moon.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And then at the same time, Maxis is able to go through electronics. Like, what's that about?
I don't know.
He's like electricity, dude. Like, it's weird.
In the Black Ops 1 storyline at least, he was able to become technology after he wasn't able to pass through the MPD because it was full, and Richtofen had possession. So he became the technology around Griffith Station. And so that's all I know about him becoming some sort of an electricity, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
You might be right, though. I think they might just be remasters if they're just closing up this story with a bow tie. And, hats off for them doing that. And I also think it would be interesting to view it like it's a continuation of the storyline, and there might be some at the end of this rainbow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of 50-50 right now. But I am beyond excited to get my hands on this, especially Kino der Toten and Origins. I saw Kino gameplay today, and my god, it looks awesome.
Yeah, what they did with the whole map looks really cool.
It's all redone, and then in Pack-a-Punch, you have the projector, and you look on the screen, and it's all in HD up there. That looks so funky.
It's you. Yeah, that is really cool.
What do you think of the Reagan Mark II actually being on every map? I think that's sick.
Yeah, that's good. I love the Reagan Mark II, and it's going to be really good for high rounds and fun to use.
Oh, for sure. High rounds are going to be key, though, because what do you think about high round Easter eggs? Like, you reach round 50 on Knock, and that's when you get the zombie Richtofen to show up. That's always the rumor, right?
Yeah.
And what if they actually do something like that for the high round guys out there? And what if he's really difficult and you need some really good weapons by the time you get there? No one will know until they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot of things we have yet to discover and try out, but we'll be crossing them off as we go through these next podcasts. So you guys should definitely subscribe and make sure you stay up to date with both of our channels. We both got a lot going on between what's all happening. There's a lot of zombies content out there.
Yeah, I mean, even the staffs look different too. They had like a glow to them.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked really good.
That looked really cool. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's a lot. Shino Numa, man.
Oh, Shino Numa
looked insane.
It does. Like I don't mind trying that map out now. Like before, you ain't gonna find me on Shino Numa. Forget about that.
Yeah.
But you find me on it now.
Yeah. And we get Varrock, like, when we're recording this, the day it goes live, Sunday.
Right, so...
And then Knock tomorrow.
Knock
has a Wonder Fizz upstairs.
Really?
At the top of the stairs. Yeah.
Huh. Knock. I wonder if Knock's going to be just basic, like we saw in
I think
Revelations.
So.
Do you think it'll be bigger than the Revelations version? A little bit?
I think it's going to be the same size that the original was.
Damn, I hope not. I hope it's... I mean, I hope it's tweaked just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Oh, well, of course we got a little bit more area. I mean, we got the dentist chair and stuff like that. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun ride. And hopefully scary on those maps. Like, I want that same feeling back.
Yeah, I hope it's even more scary. Like, they're able to...
With the music?
Yeah, like music and... Like, even on Black Ops 3, yesterday, I got when I was doing the Zetsubo Easter egg.
Yeah.
As much as I hate it, I wanted the gate worm after resetting, and I got the Origins loading music on Zetsubo.
Weird.
Yeah.
So it's all in the game. It's all mixed up in there somewhere. It's all glitching around. Interesting.
Yeah, man.
Interesting. I'm glad it's happening, man. So I think we'll close out with that.
Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing.
Sure.
Which I told you about before. On Ascension, in the trailer, where Richtofen slides with the dingo.
That was so sick. So sick.
Yeah. Up in the window, you can see the Shadow Man.
What? Nuh-uh.
Yeah, there's this shadow of... It looks exactly like the Shadow Man, like the same hat.
Oh,
the
dang,
fedora
dude.
that he has.
Dang.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, snap.
So I don't know if that's like a little Easter egg just for the trailer or what, but that was pretty intense.
Oh. All right, guys. Let us know what you think of that. And we will see you in next week's episode. Remember, this happens every Sunday, so we'll see you guys then. Hopefully with another guest. Jimbothy is
planned. Send some love to your mom, guys. It's Mother's Day.
That's right.
Do something nice for your mom.
Do something nice for mom. Get her some flowers. Do something. Make some soup. You got it.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
All right. See ya.